I recollect, certainly as a young nursing assistant and as a student nurse, that there was no personalised clothing. There'd be a few residents, usually very, very able people, who arguably shouldn't have been living in the hospital in the first place, who would have had personalised clothing. I think some of the guys who lived in the huts would probably have personalised, but the vast majority of the people that I worked with, there was no personalised clothing. You would go in the morning and you would fill up a trolley with socks, pants, underwear, shirts, and the famous battle dress.
Yes, and undoubtedly one of the skills that you had to have
was to match.
Yes. Was to choose the right, or attempt to choose the right size of clothes for the residents. Yeah.
And in actual fact, when I came back to work in the hospital after training as a general nurse, which would be around about 1980, which actually isn't that long ago, then it was exactly the same on the female side of the hospital. So there was no personalisation, real personalisation, and that came along. And when you think, I mean, that's probably just over a generation ago. The perversity of that folk didn't even have their own clothes. They would have had clothes, but it would be for special occasions, and they would have been locked up. They would have been in the lockup or Fort Knox, as it was often called, and that they would be used for special outings or for maybe if folk were going to church or whatever. But they wouldn't have access. They wouldn't have access to their own clothes.
Certainly, the Adair ward, the children's ward, the clothes were slightly better, but they had institutional clothes that they wore all the time. Except, oh, so-and-so's visitors coming up today, better get these clothes on, you know, and they wore decent clothes then.